Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 103 of the White Knuckle Podcast, powered by Ozonics. Undetectable, undeniable. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into the White Knuckle Podcast. Tonight, I am joined with the world-famous Jeff Fredricks from Fredrick's Champions Choice Turkey Calls. How's it going, Jeff?
Very good.
Good. So we are on the eve of Wisconsin's opener, and it's going to rain like 12 inches in the next 2 days, right? What?
Yeah.
Where is Jeff Fredricks going to be in the morning? Not specifically. You don't have to drop a pin on the place, but what's your tactic? As long as we've done these shows with you, we probably never really talked about how weather relates to turkeys, and I'm sure it does. How would you say it best relates to turkeys, or how would you, I guess, best take advantage of the weather?
So I'll be hunting in the Central Sands area here of western Wisconsin, and if it's pouring rain, I'm sitting in the truck.
Amen. I'm getting all kinds of grief around the office today. I'm like, I am not going to drive to Boscobel and get out of my truck just to go sit in a blind that's going to eventually leak because it's going to rain so flippin' hard that I'm going to get wet. No thanks.
The turkeys are very, they seem to really like to get out in the open in the rain. So, your field hunters, your guys that are putting up blinds out in fields, they find those rainy days very effective. Another thing that I believe what makes open field hunting in the rain effective is the fact that most guys are using the painted plastic decoys. Now, when a wild turkey's feathers get wet, the microscopic water droplets fill the structure that makes them iridescent. We all have seen wet turkeys, and they are not pretty, right?
No, they're quite ugly.
So they don't have that iridescent factor, and therefore I believe that the plastic painted decoys are way more effective in the rain, because the turkeys are used to not seeing each other, and however the way they see each other, when the sun or ambient light is on them in the rain, it cancels that out, makes that plastic painted decoy a lot more effective.
Gotcha. So it sort of, I don't know if dilutes the right word, but it dilutes the color, the very
Well, it doesn't dilute it. What the iridescent is light refraction. So there's microscopic structures on the feather that refract light. Now, when the feathers are wet, obviously all those little microscopic mirrors and structures are filled up with little water droplets, and that's why they are iridescent when their feathers are wet. So that is what's going on there ultimately.
Okay. So
don't be afraid if you're a open field hunter and you're sitting in a blind, don't be afraid to go out and hunt in the rain. Now me personally, any more turkey hunting is a lot of the aesthetics of the hunt, and I guess I would rather wait for a nicer day to hunt myself.
Well, Yeah, I think that's, I mean, completely understandable. We're sort of past the point where we're that gung ho and needing to get out there and get crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we're getting old. I don't know, but I would just rather.
I don't know. I mean, everyone goes through a tag filling phase, and I've been there. We've done that. It's understandable. And after time, you learn to appreciate each and every hunt. As you get older. We're not that old, Jason.
No, I'm not. Right, I know.
Well, no, we're getting there.
Right, exactly. So, let's talk about, like, not the perfect day, but let's talk about a day where you're going to. I think probably one of the reasons that neither of us subscribe to doing a whole lot of that, sitting in the rain, isn't because we're there just to kill a turkey. I would say I'm there more for I don't want to romanticize it too much, but for the experience. I mean, I like the chase. I like the game. The one cool thing about turkey hunting is that you call at them and they call at you and give up their position. And it's just, I don't know, there's something cool about it. It's like probably like elk hunters would describe it. And if I don't get to kill one that way, I guess I don't really want to. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. It's the chess match, between you and a gobbler. And what's really fun and unique about it is every interaction you have is going to be somehow, some way different. They're always going to figure out some way to throw you a little bit of a curve. And there are times when everything goes exactly the way you want. And what I do is I just say, "Awesome, thank you, Lord, for letting that happen just the way it's supposed to," because the majority of the time it does not happen that way.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly the perfect way of putting it. So, why is there such a difference? In a good case in point, and I'm just sitting in the middle, sitting here in the office editing the video for one of our first installments of the White Knuckle web show for the year, is my turkey hunt from last year. Dave and I went out on that new lease I've got there in Boscoville, and I remember talking to you about it, saying, I don't even know if there's turkeys there, and you're like, just shut up and go. There'll be turkeys there. Don't worry about it. And we were, first of all, we were late. Second of all, it was 6 inches of snow on the ground. And we got there and there was, like you said, turkeys everywhere. But it seemed like it was one of those days where you could just do no wrong. Like, I was listening to my calling and I'm like, boy, I don't even know if I want to put this on the video. People are going to make fun of me. But it was one of those days where you could do no wrong. Is there a way to predict that kind of day?
Yeah. I'm developing an app that comes up with all the different factors. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I knew. I wish I knew why them darn things gobble some days and don't gobble the other days. And after, this will be my 33rd year. I mean, just about the time you think that the dawn is breaking and it's a perfect day, nothing. Then you go out one day and it's spitting rain a little bit, kind of windy. You think, boy, ain't nothing going to gobble a day, and they're just absolutely burning up the treetops. I wish I knew. Here's the bottom line. It's kind of like deer hunting. You gotta be out there a lot to find that sweet spot, that special day when everything lines up. And sometimes you luck out, and sometimes you got to hunt hard.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench into all that and say we went out on that. So we passed up on the first 2 days because the weather was like something out of a horror movie. And we went the Friday, and it was just beautiful. Saturday was, gorgeous. Sunday was gorgeous times 10. So I got, I ended up blowing it 2-3 times on the first day. And blowing it again on Sunday, but it seemed like every time I went that first season, there was literally nothing that I could not necessarily do wrong. It wasn't quite as easy the second day as it was the first day, but I could still call them in. And then there's other days that you could go and there's just nothing that you can throw at them that's going to make it happen. But one thing that I'm wondering is, have you found that in the course of, all the different kind of hunts that you've been on, that by just simply repositioning yourself or something like that, that it makes a difference?
Well, let me backtrack a little bit here. So now I did just go over that. I wish I knew what made them gobble, and because there's been times that I think I do somewhat have it figured out. Now here's a couple of general things that I've got a gut feeling of in all the years I've been turkey hunting. I hate it when the weather stays the same for more than 3 days in a row. I like to have changes in the weather. And I think what that does is when you get a change in the weather, sometimes I think the gobblers and the hens are off doing separate things. Like possibly if a low is coming in and they're feeding, they're worried more about feeding for just a little while and they lose track of the hens, because there are certainly days where the gobblers are reseeking hens. Those are the days that you can do no wrong. And then there's days where, like if the weather stays the same and the gobblers find hens and then they stay with those hens for a long period of time, they get tougher and tougher and tougher to call in. And actually, I think the gobbling even tapers off a little bit when they just have those hens with them constantly. So I didn't answer your question, but I did elaborate on the question before.
Well, I think that's an honest answer, because I don't know that there is, and I think anybody that's a self-proclaimed expert in the field would say that there's probably not the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's anybody that you run into that claims they've got it figured out is not being completely honest with you.
Amen. There's a lot of people who think they do, but well, anyway, we don't need to go any farther into that rabbit hole. But so, I guess when you have, let's assume that everybody's having a marginal day, and what are the biggest mistakes that guys and gals make? Whether it be moving too early, calling too much, calling too little, not doing enough homework beforehand. I mean, what is the biggest of all mistakes?
Running and gunning.
Ooh.
Running and gunning.
But I like to run and gun.
And here's what kills turkeys on tough days. It's patience. If you get into the back end of a stagnant weather system where they are hand up or whatever we want to call it, they just aren't cooperating. It's that patience that's going to really, I think, in the end, increase your percentages just a little bit. Now, I just really don't like the term run and gun, because what that's sending out a message to people who are still learning turkey hunting is a message of impatience. And what run and gun ultimately can do is screw up a lot of your hunting. If you're blessed to have 1,000 acres and you can just walk around and call and it doesn't matter, that's great. But if you got an 80, you can't be doing much running and gunning because you're gonna tend to bump a lot more turkeys than you see or hear or call in when you do that type of hunting. So what I like to do is, and I can be quite mobile at times, but it's a very patient and measured type of moving and trying different setups and locations and being very careful about how much I'm calling. I really don't advocate a whole lot of calling while you're moving. I like to just get to a spot. Oh, it looks like I could possibly call one in here. I'll give it a little time. If nothing answers me, a half hour, that's a long time to sit. But let me tell you, if you get one to answer you at a distance, even if it's across a valley, one of the best things you can do is to just stick it out there. I used to really do a lot of trying to, once I get them to answer, try and cut closer, and boy, in the end, most of the time it would have been better if I'd have just stayed right where I was.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not trying to call you out or anything like that, but is it possible that one of the reasons that you've learned to have patience is because you're so constrained by the property lines? Or
sometimes I am, and I will change my hunting tactics based 100%. 100%. I will adapt my hunting tactics to the property I have. Now, there's one place where I hunt that is a very large farm, and it's got a lot of terrain. But I still try not to do a lot of walking and calling. I still look at the map, or I go to places that I think, hey, this is a nice spot to call, and I'll give it some time at each one of those setups. I'll just walk slowly through the woods, and hey, if you hear a gobble while you're walking, bonus. But basically, I'll have in the back of my mind 4 to 5 spots that I want to put out, give a little calling stand. You can tend to get a little more reckless, towards the last day of your hunt or something. Maybe a little bit more walking and calling, but ultimately walking and calling is it tends to be less fruitful than what a lot of people think.
Okay. So when you're referring to running and gunning, are you also putting that in the same category as like walking and calling, or? Yeah,
it's just the term that bothers me. I try to encourage people to not do a lot of walking and calling, because you will tend to get caught doing that. And I think it's a better, a lot of people really have this aversion to over calling.
Sure.
And I think if you're careful about how you're moving around your properties, and you're going to setups that you feel confident you could get a shot or pull it off, or get a gobbler to come in, then don't worry about overcalling. If you've got 5 hours to hunt and you've got 5 spots on a property you want to try, then, try each one for a half an hour. And when you're sitting there that half an hour, call hard for the first 10 minutes. Call. Don't worry about overcalling as much as walking and calling. Walking and calling is more dangerous. Overcalling is overrated. I wouldn't worry that much about overcalling.
I was just thinking this weekend actually about whether you would have condoned it or not, but it just through business I had listed this property down between Portage and Poynette, and it's on an online auction that we're going to be ending here the 2nd of May, and I got a phone call from a guy that you and I went to school with, Jeremy Pickards. And he's like, dude, you're selling my hunting land, you prick. And I'm like, what? And he's like, that land on Oshakota Road is the land that I've hunted turkeys on for, I don't remember what he said. And I said, well, I've been looking for a youth hunter to take. And he said, well, I'd really like to take my kid. Would that be okay? And I'm like, well, let's just make sure with the landowner, and I'll forego anybody that I had, and I'll film it, and you take your boy, and we'll go have a good time. And I don't know if you saw the video on Facebook or not, but I had been out there the week earlier, and it was just like, I don't know, there was like 500,000 or so turkeys out in the field, and I'm like, this is going to be a slam dunk. Well, I should have known that when I said to myself, this is going to be a slam dunk. It absolutely,
you just,
it wasn't
slammed
going.
The door on that deal.
Exactly. But we went out and we sat down, and it was windy on Saturday morning, and he called very sparingly, and I'm like, I wonder if we shouldn't be calling more. And in that situation, when you're this early in the year, what is your 2 cents on that? My thought is to go harder at them so that you're going to get maybe a hen's attention, and she's going to drag them all your way. Or am I just completely out of line on that?
No, I'm more in line with you. A lot of what the more timid style calling, and nothing against Jeremy. I'm sure he's a good caller, but
oh no, definitely.
A lot of people get into this pattern of calling sparingly and timidly, and in the end, it lowers your overall chances. So let's say there were some turkeys just out of hearing distance, or there were a bunch of turkeys there, but all of a sudden they're roosted over the top of the hill or something. Call loud and call a lot. Once you get something going, then you can start to become a little more sparing on what you're doing, to just try and gauge how interested he is. And you hit on a really important point. Timid calling doesn't tend to aggravate hens like loud and aggressive calling. And this is the time of year to do that. Them hens are still in them little flocks, and
sure,
you can definitely aggravate a hen. And I've done it so many times where I've aggravated the hen, and she came, whatever, one hen out of the flock comes over to me, walks around quite a bit, and then she goes back. She never did drag a gobbler in, but at least I tried. You got to get them. Yeah, it's important to get them hens worked up.
Absolutely. I just didn't know if there was any validity to my thought whatsoever, and quite honestly, I don't remember if how much we did or didn't call. I just remember thinking, I wonder if I should call too, and we should make it sound like there's a whole bunch of hens out here or what. And,
sure.
And then it just made me think about having this conversation with you, and ultimately we didn't. So Saturday we didn't have a tom come out in the field. Sunday I figured, okay, well, last Saturday there was 500,000 out there. Now it's going to be Sunday. Well, Sunday morning came. It was much calmer, and they sat on the roost till probably 7:30. What's up with that?
Yeah, my son and I experienced the same thing.
It's got to be weather.
There?
No.
Yeah, I think. Oh well, we had snow with a crust of ice on it. That's what I thought. They just didn't want to. They did not enjoy walking around in that junk by us.
I don't blame.
But it's strange. There's been times that I've got the hint that if they receive a lot of, like coyote pressure, that they really stay in them roost trees, and really scrutinize what's going on down below them long, before they fly down. I notice it more in the later seasons where they tend to stay on the roost a lot longer. But I did notice that too, and I just thought it was weather related.
Interesting. Let's talk about something.
Let me just touch on one thing. You were talking about if both of you guys were calling and you could sound like more hens and stuff. You know what? I think that would have been a great way to do it.
We eventually did do that, and it didn't pan out to the extent that I just think that circumstances just dictated otherwise. Hens started pitching down into the field right out in front of us, and I thought, okay, here it goes. It's going to be black with turkeys here in no time, and it just never turned out to be that way. And what happened is the hens and one tom that got out there, that they just turned around and walked right back into the woods, and they walked away from the decoys and right into the woods. And eventually just all went off a different direction. And then later in the day, I had a showing on the property, and this gentleman and I were walking around, and I ran into the entire flock on the railroad right away, and there was like 5 toms strutting, and so they were still in the general vicinity. They just never came to... it was right on Rocky Run Creek, and so I know you're familiar with that. Yeah, so they were just on the other. They were roosted on the other side. And they pitched down, some of them onto our side, but they still, most of them, if not all of them, went the opposite direction.
Them darn things, they have an agenda in the morning, and many times I think. It's almost like it's a predetermined agenda, and if you can get them to change their mind, you've really accomplished something. But many times there's stuff going on the other direction that you don't know about. You know, the flock there might have been more turkeys over the hill, or where they were going to, or something. It's hard to tell, that's for sure. But they definitely seem to, and that's where later in the morning is an important time to stick it out and hunt, because the agenda gets looser as the morning progresses. That first
it's kind of like the closer it gets to bar time, the more apt you are to make a mistake.
Exactly.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Okay.
They got their plan down first, and then
like Jared Scheffler from Whitetail Adrenaline would say, the goal is in stone, the plan is in sand.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
Yeah. So I know that I don't have a ton of your time yet, but I'd like to touch on one thing in addition to getting, like, if you could give us your top 5 do's or don'ts, in it doesn't need to be 5 of each, just the top 5 things to pay attention to or to do.
Don't worry about overcalling. If you, as a caller, and I encourage everyone to become a halfway proficient caller, because that's what makes it fun. But here's where the proficiency comes into play. If you call with a lot of variety,
sure,
and you change your volume, you call loud a little bit and you call quiet a little bit, and you call with different intensities.
Sure.
You call real intense for a while, and then you call real relaxed for a while. If you put variety into your calling, it's hard to overcall. Now, when my son and I were out Saturday... Go ahead.
What is variety?
Variety means not doing the same thing over and over and over. Mixing in, you're going to call loud, and then you're going to call soft. You're going to call with intensity, you're going to call with less intensity. You're going to do some cutting and cackling, you're going to do some yelping. You're going to do a key run here and there, you're going to do a cluck and purr for a while.
See, I always thought the key run was
routine.
Yeah.
If you follow that, you will not overcall. If you call with enough variety, you will not be overcalling.
Gotcha.
And that is what so we're going to get off this top 5 track here just a smidge, but that is what's bothered me most about a lot of the turkey hunting information that's been passed along from generation to generation. As soon as we human beings started naming the sounds that turkeys make, we started thinking we knew what that meant. Okay? Now, there's no way we're ever going to know what these different sounds mean to the other turkeys, but once we started naming them, then we were reading articles and going to seminars, and people would say, well, the kiki run is the call of a fall turkey. Well, kind of, but not really. Personally, I've witnessed adult hens and adult gobblers kiki run in the spring, fall, summer. I mean, any time of the year. There's so much more complexity to the vocalization of the wild turkey that we don't understand, that it doesn't really pay for us to dwell on that too much. So, yeah, definitely, because you know what you're doing if you do a kiki run in the spring is you're adding some variety, some volume, and some intensity into your calling. And if you do that, you're going to tend to be more successful in the end. You're upping those odds if you call that way. So there's one, Jason.
Okay. See, and that's what I was going to say. I was always under the impression, because you taught me now, you have to own this, that the kiki run, for instance, was only a fall call. Now, I probably heard that from someone other than you, just in your defense, because I don't even know that we spent a whole lot of time. I just remember riding around the car and you making me swallow this thing.
Well, and exactly, because back then, my experience was, which was pretty, I mean, we were really new to turkey hunting,
right.
But I was consuming articles and seminars and information and then I was passing that information along to other people, and it wasn't until I had 30 or 25 years of experience and witnessing thousands and thousands of different turkeys calling and interacting that I found that pretty much everything I learned, you can shoot some holes in it. That's
true.
It's a little bit more complex than we, than the old hunting lure that's been passed down over these years. And I think that it's important to, as a hunter, the hunting lure is fun and fine and everything, but there are some things that I think can be detrimental to the turkey hunter. So that'll bring me to number 2. If you're a turkey hunter who believes that turkeys will get call shy, what happens in your mind is you start making excuses for when things aren't happening the way you would like them to, and that erodes your patience and persistence. Whether or not it's true or not, the bottom line is if you're walking around the woods thinking that there's all kinds of turkeys around here that are call shy and I can't overcall, you are lowering your odds by doing that.
Sure.
So that, and whether, until they start doing, a scientific study on whether turkeys can get call shy or not, all we can do is just, believe what we believe. And until there's science, you may as well be out there hunting and say, hey, Jeff says there is no such thing as a call shy turkey. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep calling, and you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna eventually get that turkey to come in. You're gonna be successful.
Right.
So what is that? That's 2. 3. A big one is knowing the limitations of, and we kind of touched on it early, knowing the limitations of the property you're hunting. If if you've got 40 acres, you're going to be hunting in a style that is going to be very stationary and patient. You know, and when I'm hunting like that, I typically like to sit in the blind because you can wiggle around a little bit. Now, many times I do like to challenge myself and not hunt out of a blind, you know, to
Sure.
see if I can just, you know, dupe that old gobbler and sit still long enough. But, Jason, the older I'm getting, the harder it is for me to sit still for 2 hours up against an oak tree. So, but, you know, you've got to, and terrain has a lot to do with how much movement you can get away with, you know, as you're moving about your property.
For sure.
And you've got to understand your property a little bit and have a game plan of how you want to hunt that, so that you can, you know, you can be successful if you're hunting more than one day.
Right.
You know, you don't want to make the turkeys not trust humans. You know, because over time, like I was saying before, I don't believe that turkeys get call shy, but I guarantee you they definitely start equating humans on the landscape with danger. So, you know, you got to keep that in mind. They definitely have the ability to learn in that fashion. So that's 3. Number 4 is I'm going to relate to shotgun hunting. You really have to be careful about some of the claims. You know, the ammunition companies are doing a great job to extend our range, right? But you can't just buy a box of shells and say these are going to be good. You've got to pattern it. You got to try them shells out. Now, I just shot the other day. I got the TSS 9s, and I shot it at 45 yards, one shot. And I tell you what, the pattern wasn't extremely dense, but I certainly would have killed that turkey. But I not only would have killed the turkey, but I would have had BBs from the tip of his head to the bottom of his feet. There's a lot of BBs out there, and I think I would have to do a little more research on, you know, I don't want to shoot the meat up so bad. I'd have to do a little bit more testing of that load to be comfortable with it and get me to switch from my favorites to heavy shot. So shooting is very important. And then number 5 is you got to practice your calling. That is the fun part of turkey hunting. If you look at your archery hunters, you know, a turkey call or a bow and arrow, or, you know, these are pieces of equipment you're using to bring home, you know, the meat for your freezer. So I enjoy shooting a bow, right? That's a piece of my archery equipment. I'm going to enjoy doing that. Now, unfortunately, a lot of family members tend to not enjoy your turkey calling practice, but include them in it, or figure out a way to do that, because what happens is if you practice a little bit more, you become more confident in your own calling, and confidence equals patience and persistence. Persistence is the key element to enjoying the hunt and bringing home that gobbler.
Persistence, patience, and perseverance.
Yeah.
Through and through are, without a doubt, whether we're talking about antelope hunting, mule deer hunting, whitetail hunting, elk hunting, turkey hunting, whatever.
Trout fishing.
Trout fishing, walleye fishing. Yeah. Sasquatch hunting, whatever it is, it's patience.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to become a
storm
student.
chasing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Right. It's all the same. I think it was with Lee, the podcast I did with Lee Lukoski, the word patience just kept coming up. So I paid attention since then, and I don't know that there's very few tactical podcasts that I've done where we really talk about tactics like we have here, where the word patience doesn't come up. So yeah, definitely the 3 Ps are paramount.
And
they got to be your North Star. I mean, really.
Yep, ultimately, what I want to give the turkey hunters who are willing to spend the time listening to me talk about turkey hunting is, in the end, if I can inject a little of that patience and persistence into them through some of the things I'm saying, like, hey, don't worry about call shy turkeys. There's mentally things that are going to be bouncing around in your head that are going to erode that element of your hunt, and that's the key part about figuring this stuff out is controlling your own. We can't control what the turkeys do. We can only control what we do as a turkey hunter. Right. So there it is.
There is one other thing that I did want to talk about. You donated that picture to Todd's auction in Iowa, and it brought a bunch of money. And how did you get the idea? Are you the only person in the world that does this?
Well, I would like to think so. Here's what happened exactly, Jason. So I've been making my decoys, right, where I glue all the feathers on the body that I created. And I had an upcoming art show last summer, and of course I'm a traditional wildlife artist. I use oil paints, acrylics, and pastels to create my artwork. And every time I go to these shows, so I'm a realistic painter, right?
Right.
And I've always thought I want to do more abstract artwork.
Sure.
And it just came to me, in that period of time when you're half awake, half asleep, and I'm like, why don't I do abstract artwork with the most gorgeous medium I know, which is the iridescent wild turkey feather. There you go. That's how I came up with it. But so I did one that many people have seen at the outdoor shows, where it incorporates the entire tail, all the tail feathers and the secondaries and the back feathers, and then I use feathers from other parts of the turkey to create an entire composition. They can get a hold of me to have their turkey done like that by me, and they can get a hold of me. Just send me an email, jfredrickdesign@gmail.com.
What about through your Champion's Choice turkey calls? Can they get a hold of you through that? And please, definitely.
Yes, my cell phone number is on fredrickchampionschoice.com, so they can contact me through my website, which has my turkey calls and my decoys available for purchase on my website.
Well, there you have it, my conversation with Mr. Jeff Fredrick. As I said earlier in the show, I will leave Jeff's website address in the show notes and also tag it in our Facebook post or on any of the different social media sites where you can catch this podcast. With that, I'll begin to end the show today. I want to thank Ozonics for supporting our show and making it possible. Without them, we couldn't do what it is that we do. I also need some help from you folks, our listeners, and that's for you to go to iTunes or whatever media that you listen to our podcast on and give us a review. Reviews are how we get better at what it is that we do. We've got a lot of different and exciting things things coming up this year, and we'd love to hear what you guys think of that. And from there, we'll be able to better strategize what kind of guests to have and things of that nature. Next week, again, we'll do another turkey show, and who knows where we'll go from there. But I can guarantee there's this summer we've got a lot of cool stuff planned, and then in the fall we've also got a bunch of stuff planned. Look out for our upcoming web show here. Our turkey shows will start relatively quick on any of our social media channels or on our YouTube channel. I guess that's about all I've got for today. Jason out.